Hey, Rachel.
Hey, Brian.
So how was your week?
I mean, generally terrible, but I do love this time of year because, you know, the leaves are changing colors and there's a little chill in the air. It's not as warm. And if you work at Facebook, you can participate now in open enrollment,
Well,
which is very exciting.
Anywhere you work, it's
Anywhere.
open enrollment.
I mean, I'm a freelancer, so I guess like I'm living vicariously through these Facebook
I live off
employees.
Doug's health insurance, so I don't have
Yeah.
open enrollment. So, but for Facebook people, I can see it's exciting. It's an exciting time of year.
It's so exciting that they put out a music video about it, which we will discuss. We must discuss.
Okay, are we gonna? Is that a no? It's gonna be a no, right?
It's gonna be. I am traumatized by this.
Okay,
video,
well,
yes.
this is why we're talking about it on a podcast called Nope.
The podcast where we shut it down.
We're just a couple of New York Jews talking about the news, beating back the blues. We made a podcast at News. Why? Had to laugh so we don't cry. Come and join us for the ride. Welcome to Nope.
Okay, Rachel. So you sent me this video, and my eyes cannot unsee it. And it is, it's a specimen. It's a piece of work.
Yeah, I just sent it to you a couple of hours ago, and you were like, "We need to upend our entire lineup
to talk about this." But I am not worthy. I do not have the skills that you have as a journalist,
An analyst,
as an analyst and journalist, to talk about this. So tell us what's so insane about this video.
So there's so much Facebook news dropping every day. There's the Facebook papers, the Facebook files about all, like, from that, you know, whistleblower, the internal person who's leaking all this stuff. And then this comes out through journalist Katie Notopoulos at BuzzFeed. And I fear it's going to get lost in the shuffle because I think
the
it's more
opposite.
disturbing.
It's much bigger news. This is the real story
This
here.
is the real story. It is.
Amy Klobuchar should have
than
hearings. Amy Klobuchar should be hearings about this video.
What is happening here? So this is Facebook has an a cappella group called the Vocal Network, and they wrote a song and recorded this video about health insurance, open enrollment, and you know, it's everywhere on the internet. It's in the grand tradition of the Bank of America employee who sang One Bank to the tune of U2's One Love several years ago. Do you remember
painful.
that?
No, that's
yes,
like
but this is worse.
Song. No, this is like when the airlines all replace their like boring safety videos at the beginning of the flight with the like hip hop rap videos to try to be cool to get people to pay attention.
Well, that was started by like Virgin.
Yeah,
right?
Virgin did it. And it was actually cool when Virgin did it, but then United did it. And like, how cool can United
And everyone did it.
Yeah.
Right. Not that cool. Right. So, but this is like sort of, it's like the Metaverse version of this
unfortunately
One Bank of America video, because it's like performed by dozens of Facebook employees, some of whom are in masks, which good for them because
but others are not, which is even weirder.
Yes, it's got musical instruments, choreography, 4 different scenes,
and they're all very like thin and good looking and would leave you the impression
and diverse. Yeah, it's like an opera basically for our time.
It's like 3 acts. But what struck me as weird is that the first line of it, and I'm not going to quote it correctly, is basically, "Hey, your deductible is going to go up, but bear in mind, there's a lot of other benefits that you get when you're." And like the 2 benefits I remember is that you can get braces, and if you sign up, you get an Oculus, which Facebook owns, so it probably costs them $3 to send you an Oculus.
Right. Well, it says there's a new plan we're adding with a high deductible, but before you send it packing, no, it comes with something cool. So that's what they.
Facebook,
I mean, maybe
that has
we should
billions and billions of dollars of revenue. What they really want to do is convince their employees to like squeeze out an extra $10 a month in premium to get the higher deductible, but you get an Oculus. It's disgusting.
You get an Oculus, yes. And I feel like we should start at the beginning. We're already into the second aria here. We need to start with the overture. So there's like rainbow graphics and a barbershop quartet type singing do 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 do, and then it cuts into the first act, which appears to be a Zoom meeting with 4 people, one of whom is playing percussion on like some kind of crock pot. And then suddenly the mood changes and we're outside. There's a close up on a woman singing, "Tell me what's gonna change." I think we should put a clip right here.
Tell me what's gonna change. Well, there's a new pen we're adding, got a high deductible. But before you send it packing, know it comes with something cool.
You can save and invest your way all tax-free with an HSA.
Tell me what's gonna change.
Okay, so then they're in a formation with this woman who was singing "Tell Me What's Gonna Change" at the head of it. She's like the lead dancer, and they're all like fanning out, and they're
And this
dancing.
is like NSYNC, like Backstreet Boys choreography the whole time.
Yes, they definitely hired a choreographer to
It
get
may have
them
been
all
Paul Abdul for all I know.
for all we know. Yes. And so they're in formation, they're dancing outside the headquarters, they're explaining what's going to change with their health benefits, and things got very confusing. So as you said, there's this high deductible, and then it, before you send it packing, it comes with something cool. So like, what is the cool thing that it comes with? So you said it might be an Oculus, but it's also an HSA, a health savings account, which as far as I know, I'm not like a benefits consultant, but doesn't that come with all high deductible plans? Like, isn't that part
I'm
of
not
it?
I'm not an expert here, but it doesn't seem like if they're trying to make an emotional, visceral like reaction to this higher deductible healthcare plan, I think they can come up with something better than an HSA.
Yes, it's not that exciting. But then they start talking about like glasses and braces. There's another change in the mood. And then the dorkiest guy you ever saw in your life comes out and says, "Now let's move that thing and jump into the metaverse." Let's put another clip here.
So that's what's gonna change.
That's what's gonna change. Now let's move that thing and jump into the metaverse.
Well, that's their thing. Like, Facebook is no longer a social network. It's a metaverse company, right?
It's a metaverse. And then this whole employee dance troupe, they put on these Oculus headsets, and then we're in the metaverse watching like avatars of all of these people. But the problem is that like in the metaverse, people only have torsos. So they're just like
wait, so this
hovering.
healthcare plan only covers the top half of your body. So if you have like leg cancer or something, like you're
they
shit out
don't
of
recognize
luck.
it. If you can't be seen in Oculus, it doesn't exist, right? So they're sort of hovering in midair. There's like shadows underneath their bodies, and they're dancing and they're trying. This is where like it's like very serious. This is where we get all the legal information, but it's so hard to process because it's the animation is so weird, and their hands are
It's
moving all
distracting.
over the place, and then it cuts to like this drumming interlude. There's
Oh yeah,
like,
that guy. And at first I thought he was in a wheelchair because I thought like, oh, they're trying to be diverse and having like all kinds of different people. It was like Glee, like they have the guy in the wheelchair, but no,
Yes.
he's just sitting on a stool and drumming on like buckets.
just outside.
So, yeah,
He's
just
out.
outside.
No,
He's a
he has
drummer.
like a whole drum kit. He like was a professional drummer, I guess, or something. Okay. So then, so there's this whole drumming thing. And then just when you think it's over, there's this whole other dance with a different dance troupe of nobody you've ever seen before singing about how the company's there for you through ups and downs.
Oh God,
Okay.
we hear you.
Yes. And then at the end, there's just like a graphic about open enrollment. So I don't know. It just so happens, this is such a strange coincidence. I got an email from Facebook today from a recruiter there asking me if I'm interested in a job. And I feel like I should maybe respond to that video.
I hear they have great plans
What do
for
you think?
braces in the metaverse.
Do you think I want to be among these people?
I think you do, actually. I think
No.
you're thinking about it, actually.
No, I'm not.
You've worked for Twitter. You've been in that realm, and
They want me now. They're recruiting me as like they're like up in flames. Come on in, Rachel. Like, no, thank you.
come save our sinking ship. Come bail
Yeah.
us out. Okay. Anyway, so thank you for raising that. It's been on my mind all day, seared in my eyes since you showed it to me. Anything interesting happened to you personally this week?
Well, yeah. So for the past 2 episodes of this podcast, we've been talking about the ongoing crisis at Aussie Media, which is, one of those digital media enterprises founded by Carlos Watson, who Brian, from college. We've discussed this. Well, Ozzy went under, then it was resurrected, and now there's an FBI investigation into fraud, and who knows where it will go next. The SEC, the Department of Homeland Security. We can only guess. But this week, I had the opportunity to personally interact with Carlos Watson's sister, Carolyn.
What?
Yes.
I didn't know this.
Yes.
How
yes.
come you did not text me immediately? Why was there not like a reel about this?
It was just so strange. I wasn't sure at first. And so this is what happened. So there was this great article in the London Review of Books about Aussie Media. It was written by Pooja Bhatia, who's a writer I overlapped with a little bit at the Wall Street Journal, and Pooja wound up working for Aussie Media for a few years. And in this piece, she talks about what her experience there was like, and she puts it all in the context of this whole doom spiral of traditional media companies. And it's really beautifully written and it's relatable. So I tweeted it, right? And I said, this is the best take I've seen on the whole Aussie Media story. And it really is. And I'll link to the story in the show notes. And suddenly there's like this 6-part, but out of order, unthreaded tweet storm showing up in my mentions from Carolyn Watson, Carlos's sister. So her Twitter, and this is the crazy thing, her Twitter handle is crjmpw@yahoo.com. That's like her Twitter name.
Did they like ask her for a handle and she's like, oh, I'll use my
email address,
20-year-old email address? Like, what?
She has no avatar. That's just like a gray ghost. She's following 6 people, including Jeff Bezos and a 17-year-old YouTube star. She has 0 people following her, and that's probably because she just joined Twitter in October 2021, this month. And all 36 of her tweets thus far have been versions of this thread replying to anybody who tweets Pooja's article about Ozzy, about her brother's company. So I found out this is in fact Carolyn Watson, and I emailed her at her Yahoo address because it was right there.
Very
and
clear,
she
yes.
she did not respond. But I have to just read you some choice excerpts from this Twitter thread that she posted. Okay, so the tweet number 1. Wow, Pooja, I'm just shocked at this. I remember you dropping cookies off at our house last Christmas with a note saying that you missed Carlos. Why do that if your experience with him was so terrible? Okay, tweet number 2. I seem to remember my brother taking you and your family out for dinner in the rain. Tweet. I'm going to skip to tweet number 4. I hope you will find a moment to acknowledge that Carlos put his soul plus entire life savings into building this company with less than 1/10 of the money his peers had to build other media companies. Didn't he get like $83 million? So his peers had $830 million to build their media companies? Who are these peers?
People, no, they're in the rain. They're out having dinner in the rain.
So then,
eating cookies.
She tweets tweet number 5. He hired and mentored a diverse team of interns, paid hundreds of freelancers from Botswana to Bolivia. And we know he's like,
well, we know he's big on
Botswana.
African
Architects.
architects.
So then the grand finale of the tweet storm is, sure, take his money and opportunity and friendship and then pile on as a former competitor and would-be acquirer calls Ozzy a fraud or a fired editor makes things up. So that's it. It's a huge no, but I mean, if you're going to start a Twitter account to troll people, at least have an avatar, learn how to thread your tweets. Don't make your handle your Yahoo email address.
And I'm just, out of all of those, I'm most fascinated by the taking someone out to dinner in the rain.
And why would this be something.
Was that's such a burden? Like, oh, if it had been sunny out, like it would have been no big deal.
or just like it was so memorable because it was in the rain, and like how dare you like betray someone
After we
who
share
would take
this
you
rainy day
meal.
experience, this rain dinner, like what? Did they have like a picnic and it started to rain? Like,
Or was it, or were they waiting for a rainy day?
were they like all under an umbrella waiting for the rain to stop? Or they huddled outside the
They were waiting
restaurant?
for it to start. They were like,
Okay, no. Very good story. We're done with it. Okay. So,
okay, what about you? What
Rachel,
happened to
in
you
our
this week?
recording, we normally start our recording Wednesday nights at 8. I was a little bit late today. I have a very good excuse for it.
Okay, tell me.
This was a surprise. You don't know this. I found my new passion. Last week, my new passion was Oculus. You might see it behind me on Zoom here. And
Yes, I
I'm
see it.
still passionate about that. But just 30 minutes ago, I was axe throwing.
Where?
So I was invited to a work event of axe throwing, and I was worried. And I said, I'm not going to have time because I have to record the podcast. I was worried that it was going to be in some hipster place in Brooklyn or the Lower East Side. It turns out it is around the corner from me. There is like the premier axe throwing venue in New York City on Lafayette Street.
Is that
around
legal?
the corner from me.
Are you allowed?
Of course it's legal. It's like an acknowledged sport.
It is?
Yes. So, okay. So when I came into this situation, all I could think of was there was a Real Housewives of New York City episode where they went axe throwing. And as I recall, it was extremely safe. And like, I remember I have this vision of Carol Radziwill wearing like goggles, and there's basically like a shooting range. They're in a cage, and like, you know, nobody can hit the target, but like, it's okay because it's all so safe and you couldn't possibly hit it. So I go into this thing, and it's like, it is not safe. Let's just put it this way. It is basically like a bowling alley. There, you and someone else go next to each other. Like literally, there's nothing between you, and you are throwing axes at a target next to each other. And it is entirely possible. Like, you do not need a strong imagination to figure how someone perishes.
Like, what could possibly go wrong?
Right, exactly. And then there's this like cute instructor who tells you how to do it, but he's like strolling around like between the axes, and you're throwing the axes. So this is terrifying to me. Like,
I just can't believe this is happening right in Tribeca. Like,
this is, yes, Jews and axes should not mix.
No.
This is not an approved, rabbinically
this is not an
approved
urban activity. This could happen in the woods somewhere.
In the woods, yes. I mean, Jews, like, we spend our entire lives in Israel planting trees. The last thing we want to do is like axe them
Throw
down.
axes.
Yes.
No.
So I am convinced that I am going to be the worst person at this. And in fact, I am. But I join a team. It's 2 different teams. And we're all drinking like crazy. I'm my 3rd martini.
Oh, great.
And,
So, like, what could go wrong? Like, drinking and axe throwing.
Basically, the whole place is a bunch of drunk bros throwing axes. And like... We're doing it. We're like being taught to do it with proper form, with 2 arms and so forth. And like in the cages next to me, there's like guys with 1 arm and like
how is this
doing it with their
allowed? I want to call like I don't know who.
No, and people are
call? Like,
drinking. They're doing shots. They're eating chicken wings. It's like a frat house in
disaster
there.
waiting to happen.
Oh, yes, I'm shocked that a disaster didn't happen. And so I'm very bad at it, as you might imagine. This is not one of my strengths,
yes.
axe throwing.
I can imagine.
I possess none of the core skills such as coordination or aim or anything. And I am the worst of the bunch, but I do not embarrass us. But each time we did 3 different rounds of different games. They have like who gets the highest score, then who gets to 100 first, then who hits a certain target. But I keep getting better and better. And by the
Like
end,
Squid Game.
it's like Squid Game. I'm surviving and I'm surviving. Right, exactly.
Yes.
Like I won the tug of war. I won the like run on the glass thing. And by the end, it's like down to the death. It's like a death match. And I win. We win.
Oh my God. You're
and
like
now,
the guy.
And now I'm sitting mentally planning in my head for my next birthday. I'm totally buying the place out, inviting 80, 75 people, having everybody do axe games like
You don't want
games.
anybody to be injured by an axe on your birthday. That's just not what you want in your life.
I trust the process.
No.
If I can survive this. Anyway, I'm an axe enthusiast now. I'm all in. And it is not entirely safe to the degree that I expected. But I emerged uninjured. So, and here I am doing a podcast anyway. So,
well, I'm very happy you're here and that you're like, that you were just a few minutes late and not late as in dead.
dead. My last text would be, Rachel, do the podcast without me because I'm not coming. Okay, let's wrap this up and jump right into the nopes. Rachel, you have a bunch of stuff. Let's hit it.
Yeah, so I want to talk about personal liberty because there's a lot of Republicans out there who are just talking about this all the time, and there's a lot of news in the personal liberty arena.
Is that an arena? Can you buy tickets to that arena?
So they're all about this personal liberty: no masks, no vaccines, and you know, Rolling Stone has been breaking a lot of incredible news this week about the January 6th insurrection.
Which is great because they've been irrelevant as a publication for many, many
really
years. And they just came out with that. I mean, I follow the music news. They've come out with this the revised 500 greatest songs of all time. And they really rejiggered it to acknowledge the contribution of Black artists. Like suddenly, like Aretha Franklin is number one.
Yeah.
So it's they're getting their act together, I think.
Good. So it's been nice to see. There was that piece last week about all of the members of Congress who were deeply involved in the planning of the insurrection. And then there was a story just this week that stopped me dead in my tracks. And you know, the headline says it all in this one. They joined an anti-government militia with their government emails. Okay.
Lock them up.
So, I mean, there's just so much to unpack here. So the story, it's about this group called the Oath Keepers, which was very involved in the insurrection. More than 20 members of the group have been charged for breaking into the Capitol. And here's the backstory. So there's this transparency organization called Distributed Denial of Secrets, and they hacked the Oath Keepers and found that their membership rolls, it has 38,000 individuals on it. And Rolling Stone looked at these membership rolls and saw that most of the people were enrolled via Gmail or some other private email address, which gives a little bit of anonymity. But then there were 40 people that were linked to government emails from domains like nasa.gov, the Virginia DMV, the city of Pittsburgh. Okay, so Rolling Stone then matched these individuals to public source information through LinkedIn, government websites, blah, blah, blah. And they compiled a list of these everyday American bureaucrats, DMV employees who are card carrying, dues paying members of a right-wing anti-government militia. Okay, so this is extremely disturbing. And Rolling Stone didn't name the people in the article, but said that they include an officer in the Pittsburgh Police Department, a recently retired detective from Wyoming, a former member of the Sheriff's Department from Hamilton County, Tennessee, current and former firefighters from Seattle, Columbus, Ohio, Huntsville, Alabama, Lexington, Kentucky. There's a supervisor with the Department of Homeland Security, a research engineer at Los Alamos,
this
a
is exactly the
communications
people.
Professional at NASA. Like, these are exactly who you want, like controlling a nuclear research site, you know, someone who's involved in the Oath Keepers,
space probes, the
Yes.
Homeland Security, like, yes.
Right. I mean, I do have some questions. If you are part of an anti-government militia, if you are a member of a group such as this,
In
why?
principle, do not accept your paycheck from the very
From the
government.
And let's just assume that you do work for the government and this is like, you believe you're going to tear down the system from within. You're in the belly of the beast. Why would you sign up with your government email
It's
address?
not hard to get a Gmail address, and I bet they all have Gmail addresses. But this is exactly what they were going after Hillary Clinton for, like
Right.
government use of government emails and servers,
Or
for
not
use-
government servers.
right? Whatever they
for-
said she did, right?
Right.
Just
It's
the
like
government
it's
emails
So, yeah.
for whatever. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yes, right. So I don't know. So the questions don't get answered by the article in Rolling Stone, like why these people would do this. But Rolling Stone emailed each of the public employees at their work email addresses, and nobody wrote back. And I feel like if you did that, own it. This just shows how cowardly these people are. They sign up for the Oath Keepers through their work email addresses, then they get emailed at work and they won't even own up to it.
No, it's like official work duty. Like someone inquires through you're required, presumably, to answer your work emails from
Answer
your
the
boss,
call.
from
Yeah.
constituents. Like, yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, okay. So it's.
I mean, so
fucking
no,
idiotic.
I mean, I don't know. It's idiotic. It's very alarming how this group has infiltrated normal functions.
Well,
of our
I have a
government.
version of that, which is
Okay.
that. So that's a nope, obviously. So we can nope that.
More personal liberty stories.
More personal
now.
liberty stories here. So we're going to localize this into New York City, where we are, where thankfully all New York City municipal workers are now required to be vaccinated by November 1st. And I'm very proud of the fact that 86% of New Yorkers have had at least one shot of the vaccine. And I actually just checked my zip code, and 98% of residents in my zip code have had at least one shot of the vaccine, which I'm very proud of.
That is great.
However, only 70% of police officers and only 50% of people who work for the fire department have had at least one vaccine. And on Monday, the PBA, Police Benevolent Association, which is the main policemen's union, they sued to allow the police officers who would not get their vaccination to continue working, because there's the one thing that they were, sort of latching onto is this religious exemption, and they said they did not give the police officers enough time to seek religious exemptions. To which I say, how hard is it to claim a religious exemption? How do you prove that you're religious enough? Like my religion, what else do you have to swear an oath to? Like my religion.
But do these people not have any other vaccines? Are they walking around exposed to rubella?
Measles, mumps, rubella, they have it all.
So if they have a religious exemption to this vaccine, why only this one? Why not that too?
Many unanswered questions here. So anyway, this was such an emotional issue that there was a protest that I swear I heard from my front window here. There were hundreds, if not thousands, of people who marched across and shut down the Brooklyn Bridge, from Brooklyn marching to City Hall. By the way, when Black Lives Matter did this, they were shouting chaos and, that there is whatever. But of course, when the police and the fire officers do it, it's okay. They called it the March for Choice, right? Because I'm sure these people are also pro-choice.
They've co-opted the language of the pro-choice movement
exactly.
For
so I'd like to circle back to these people and ask their opinions on reproductive rights. I think we might get a different answer. So a Gothamist interviewed someone named Daniel Atha, and he is a former conservation program manager at New York Botanical Gardens. And you could think, what more gentle job, what more academic job could you have than a conservation manager at the Botanical Gardens? He left his job after 27 years because of this. And here's what he said. He said, I can't eat inside a restaurant. I can't go to a museum. I was fired from my job, even though he said he quit. This is persecution. They're taking away my human rights and treating me as a second-class citizen, all based on my medical status. That is wrong. That is tyranny, and that's exactly
what
how
is his medical status?
That is exactly how the Holocaust started.
Oh, that's exactly.
Exactly. Is that exactly? Maybe not. To which I give a lot of credit to Gothamist, who then totally deadpan wrote, multiple independent fact checkers show that there is no logical connection between the COVID-19 vaccines, the Holocaust, and the Nuremberg Code. So good for them. Like,
Yes.
four
No connection whatsoever.
Pinocchios for that. So once again, but this is an echo of the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing.
Yes.
It's a Holocaust thing, right? And the yellow stars and
Always have to rope in the Holocaust.
It's
in,
always
like,
the Holocaust.
Any situation, it's the Holocaust. Like,
right. Okay, so in the middle of all this, so you might say, okay, these are the crazies. These are the people. These are bad apples. Meanwhile, you look at these people and they're like marching through the streets, disgusting people, and they're smoking cigars on this march. Like, have some dignity. Like, at least put the cigar out. But anyway, you think this is just a fuel.
freedom. It's about freedom.
It's about freedom. It's about choice. It's a freedom of they're pro-choice, basically.
Okay.
So there was this incident that got reported in the Times, and there was a viral video. This guy, Andrew Gilbert, who's just a regular guy, wearing his mask on the subway. And you have to wear your mask on the subway and not when you're outside. So I carry a little mask and I take the subway to work and I put it on. And I don't
Right.
love it, but that's what you do, right? And he noticed, as he got off the subway, he noticed two officers standing there not wearing masks. And he walked up to them and he politely asked them to put their masks on. And the cop said, "I can't hear what you're saying through your mask." Although they didn't say that as in such a nice tone as I did. And then the police officer grabs him, pushes him, and I thought this was a typo, but it's not, 80 feet across down the entire subway platform, pushes him through one of those fire exit doors. And he said, "Why are you pushing me?" He goes, "You're being disruptive." That video was viewed 3.1 million times.
My God, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's incredible. So and like they have, we know who
So
these
what's the
people are.
consequences for these people?
Well, it turns out that in the last 15 months, there have been 316 complaints about officers not taking the appropriate COVID precautions, whether that's, not wearing masks, not standing 6 feet from people and so forth. And that when there is a complaint lodged, it is referred back to the police.
Oh, great.
Right.
What could possibly go wrong?
Right. So it's unbelievable. Everybody should look up this video. You can easily link to it in the show notes. I hope you do. Yeah, so these police officers, I say you have one job. Enforce the law. If the
Public
law,
safety.
If the law is wear a mask in the subway, then wear a mask in the subway and don't abuse people who actually wear a mask in the subway. If the law is you got to get vaccinated, just fucking get vaccinated. That's your
Yeah.
job. These
Just
people.
do your
oh my
fucking
God.
job.
Oh my
God.
They're not doing any service to themselves. I mean, at a time when the police, I know that there's enormous problems, but in the end, I don't want to defund the police. They serve a purpose and they need to behave and be good citizens, but they are not helping their cause with this nonsense. Just fucking
No.
get the shot. Just fucking don't abuse people who are wearing masks.
Well, that's the thing, that police union, they endorsed Trump. So there's just a lot of
and Curtis Lewa, who's the Republican running for mayor, who has no chance, but he was marching with them also.
Yeah, it's a crazy person. There's just
Yeah.
crazy people. Yeah.
So nope to all these people. And something, there's things about the police that I actually admire. I may lose some listeners because of that, but nope. Like police, like as a group, if the Police
Most of
Benevolent
them-
Association, most of them
50% are fine.
Probably more than
50% who are not vaccinated.
are, no.
I'm sorry, but nope. That's just a nope. Like, get fucking vaccinated.
Yeah. Nope. Okay,
No.
let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay, Rachel. You wanted to talk about Alec Baldwin. I'm not sure we have time for that. Do we? Could we skip over that? It's just tragic.
You know what? It's a tragedy, and it's serious and sad and horrible. And
Why don't
the
we
story
see what
made me
happens
cry.
in the next week, and then maybe we'll see who the note
We can
is,
address
'cause
it
there's
then,
obviously
because
some notes.
it's very disturbing. Okay,
Although
but
we talked a little bit. I mean, I think you did have a good point that's worth at least mentioning, which is like in today's world, why do you need actual guns on the set of a movie or anywhere? Like, the technology is such that you can 3D print a fake gun, or have a hologram of a gun or anything. Like, do we really? Is it like the gun people's union that's making us have real guns on the set of these things? Like,
aren't actors supposed to act? Isn't this like the world of like illusion and make believe and like
we're in the metaverse. Like, make it happen all in the metaverse. Like, it's open enrollment time. Celebrate open enrollment. Put on your Oculus. Shoot some people in the metaverse. It's perfectly fine. Don't use live ammo or live guns.
No, I mean, just today, there was a press conference and the investigators said that they've recovered 3 firearms and 500 rounds of ammunition from the set. It's incomprehensible.
Why do they need why do they need any ammunition?
Why do they need?
Why do they? I don't understand. Maybe I don't know the way the guns work or whatever. Why do they need any ammunition? Isn't there like?
Why do they need any ammunition at all? Like, it's called CGI. There is a movie, as we have discussed on this podcast. There is a movie being made starring a CGI version of the late, for already 50 years, James Dean. Okay. There's
a concert tour with Michael Jackson as a hologram. Like,
yes. Kim Kardashian resurrected her father. Like, there's so many things we can do with digital technology. Like, a smoking gun is not that hard. It's cheap. It's easy. You could do it with like a Snapchat filter.
I can do it. Right. In fact, I'm doing it right now. Rachel, we're on Zoom right now. You're holding
I'm holding a weapon.
Uzi. What a name of a gun. It's okay. So that's a very quick note. I'm going to move on. A few weeks ago, we had a discussion about a very special real estate listing, which had very florid language. I have another real estate listing I'd like to bring to our attention.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Okay.
This is extremely important.
Okay. Well, we had a wonderful experience out on Long Island, in the outer reaches of Long Island in Babylon, which was
That's when we went to see Hall & Oates.
Our way station to see Hall & Oates, and it was surprisingly delightful. So I have been on a property hunt to see maybe there's...
You're buying property near Babylon so that you could recreate that moment.
Babylon is, the prices are beyond my reach now after we publicize it on this podcast. So I've had to go
a little bit slightly outside of Babylon.
I had to widen my search.
Widen the perimeter.
To Smithtown now. Okay. And it turns out I found a property that's at 100 Riverview Terrace. It's a 4-bedroom, 4-bath, $2.4 million property. And it looks nice enough. It's like a lakeside villa. It's on a river, actually. And immediately the description caught my attention for its grammatical excellence. It told me, they had me at the fact that they said they had custom-made arch doors leading to a granular living room.
Like a granular? Like, right. It's like,
no,
very
like a
small.
Granular, like in your glands,
like in your thyroid.
Yes. It cuts to your core. Your hormones throb when you do it. But then that caught my attention. But then I dug deeper. I think what we've learned from this is that every real estate agent needs a proofreader.
And an editor.
They need a publishing house to oversee their entire empire. Okay, so I'm going to read you the description of this property as I did the last time. This is becoming my beat. I'm now the luxury real estate beat. Here. We each have our little area of expertise. This is mine. Okay, so here's the copy. Beyond the gates of entry. You can't just say entry gates. Beyond the gates of entry. A private driveway leads down to a custom-made 3,700 square foot home built in 2010, resting on 200-foot frontage on the Nisququag River. This 2.03 acre estate, very strangely precise.
Specific,
Very
yes.
specific. 2.03. What do
It's
you do
for
with
people
that?
who wanted a little bit more.
All right. It's like when
2.0.
people say, "Oh, the marathon that's 26 miles," and I've run some marathons, and I'm like, "No, it's 26.2."
26.2.
Right. And if you ran a marathon, you remember that last
You
point
know
too.
that last
Right.
point too. It's
So
not
that
nothing.
0.03 is very significant. So this 2.03 acre estate has a beautiful bluestone patio and walkways which you can view from which you can view the incredible wildlife. Okay, you've got interesting.
Wildlife. Now
Right.
I'm listening. Come on, bring it on.
This is near the Long Island Sound and river meet. That's not grammar. This is near, I guess, where the Long Island Sound and the river meet, turning the waters brackish. Right, so that's where salt and fresh water meet,
And
okay?
dirt. Brackish
and dirt,
is like
some
a
siltish.
dirt. It's
No,
like-
it's like fresh and water. It's like where
It's like
crabs live.
silty.
It's like the
yeah.
Chesapeake Bay. It's like where that's why there's crabs there. It's brackish
But is
water.
that what you want? Like, is that like?
Do you
an
want brackish
appealing-
water? Yeah, I guess
don't
you
know,
get.
like-
Well, let me
okay.
tell you why that's so interesting.
Okay.
Many species of birds congregate together along with very old turtles that reside here as well.
Well,
Well, I have many questions about
sold.
that.
I'm sold because
Well, first of all,
old turtles. Like,
how do you know? How does this random real estate agent know how old the turtles are? Does the property come with a zoologist or like a paleontologist? And
they've
like,
consulted with the
finest-
paleontologists.
do they
at
have like the Museum of Natural
History?
History? They have a
They have a
consultant.
consultant coming back and forth
And
from
then
the property.
from your new dock, take a sun-filled journey as the tide sweeps you gently away and back. So you're in the water with the old turtles, and the tide is sweeping you away, but it's okay because then it sweeps you back.
Just trust it. It's
Trust the tides. It's brackish.
the turtles will lead the way.
I believe the turtles are our future. They've lasted this long. They're so old. Like they know the way. Just ride atop the turtle. Like, cause I think like old turtle is like one of those tortoises in the Galapagos that's like
Yes.
600 years old. But I doubt that the Galapagos turtles live in the Nisqually River in Smithtown, Long Island. Like,
You have to ask Sotheby's or whoever's selling this property. They would know.
so.
But I feel
I'm-
like they've de-emphasized the house in this listing.
No,
It's
and if
all
you look
about
at
everything but the house.
if you look at the images, like 80% of them are of the like overhead pictures of the house and the river. There's no pictures of these birds or the turtles or the tides
or the
sweeping you
brackish
out,
water. The
swiping
sunny
you-
dock.
sweeping you out and in. The house inside looks horrible, but it doesn't matter because you're going to spend all your time outside with
Well,
the turtle.
yeah, you're not really buying it for the house. You're buying it just to like knock it down and like hang out with the turtles.
Absolutely. So I'm ready to put in an offer.
Okay, great.
But
That
I thought
sounds
maybe,
like
Rachel, you and I could go
ideal.
50-50 because it's a really big house. We could both be here
Yeah.
at the same time. We could trade off weekends, whatever it is.
Yeah, we could
have
record the podcast there.
record the
like-
podcast there. So I'm in. Are you in?
I'm in.
It's
in.
just-
it,
it's just-
it checks all the boxes: brackish waters, old turtles, sunny dock, tide sweeping me in and out, arched doors, bluestone,
Glandular,
bluestone pathways,
glandular arches.
glandular.
Okay. 1.2 million each. We're in. That's a
We're in,
no.
we're in.
Okay. Now we're at the time where we're going to hit up the ups. These are the little rays of light, the little beacons of hope that got us through the week. Rachel, yours is first.
Yes. My up goes to Dope Sick, which is a show on Hulu. It's a drama about the opioid crisis, and it was written by Danny Strong, who also did Game Change and Recount. He's the kind of guy you call when you want a great drama about a complicated and sort of recent historical event. And the show's amazing. I got a sneak peek of the first 7 episodes because I interviewed one of the actors in the show for Esquire. The actor's Michael Stolbarg, who has been long one of my favorites, and he plays Dr. Richard Sackler, who's like the father of OxyContin, and he's a true villain. for these
Father of
horrible
OxyContin.
times.
I'm not sure that's a label I would want.
The founding father of OxyContin. So I'll link to my interview with Michael, which was very interesting. Richard Sackler's attorneys contacted his attorneys before they even started shooting, which was like a very new experience for him as an actor.
It's a very Bob Ross thing from our interview a couple of months
I
ago.
know.
Yeah.
It's like the business partners of Bob Ross, except much more evil. But I'll post that, and I recommend that anyone who's interested in learning more about these evil people, should watch it. It's good art. It's very depressing, but it's very good art. So
Yeah.
watch
Rachel,
it.
I
Yeah.
feel like you've been underselling the amount of like writing for top tier magazines and publications you've been doing.
Well, I'll let
on
you
the-
sell it
Well,
for
on the
me.
on the last
Yes.
episode, you alluded to an interview with Shiv. I forget
Oh,
Sarah
yeah.
Snook that
Sarah
but you didn't.
Snook, it hadn't
you didn't
come out
It
yet.
hadn't come out, so you couldn't say. But it was in fact, it's going to be the. Can I say where it is in the magazine?
Yeah.
It's the cover story in Town and Country magazine. I recommend you read it. It's a brilliant, I think it's some of Rachel's best work. It's an incredible
Thank you.
interview. Succession then started. It did not disappoint. There are a couple of episodes in. So people
More
sometimes-
Shiv. I need more Shiv.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like,
And honestly, Rachel, you don't know this, but people often ask me, like, who is your co-host on Nope? And sometimes they know you're my cousin. But then I explain that you're like an accomplished journalist. And they're like, well, that explains a lot. That's why she knows everything. And she's like so well spoken about these things. So
that's
don't
so nice.
don't blush. So, but
That's
I
very
think
nice.
everybody like Google Rachel's writing. It's really it's people don't know enough about it, and we have a lot of fans on Nope who maybe are don't know enough about it. So please
I'll link
read
to it.
Yeah.
I'll link to it.
Link to your Google search so everyone knows everything about you, including your Facebook account and your high school pictures and
My
so forth.
Zillow. You can learn about
Find out how much
my
your
house with my
apartment
turtles.
costs. Okay, my yup goes to an HBO series called. It sounds like we do nothing but watch TV. We do other things like axe throwing. But this week I was obsessed with this HBO series called The Other Two.
I told you about it. I knew you would love it. It's so good.
It's so me. It's
I
like the
endorse this yup
perfect,
like
perfect
so
me.
hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure what I had no preconceptions going in. It's like a half-hour comedy, so it's not a big commitment, and it's like completely addictive. It's basically about a family where there's a 13, 14-year-old kid who becomes a YouTube singing star, and his mom, and he's a totally sweet kid, like playing against type. You
He's
would
like
think
a
he would be
little
total-
Justin Bieber type.
Yeah,
you know?
but very
Like-
sweet, like not at all
Yeah.
a brat or anything.
Right.
And he has two older siblings in their 20s, Carrie and Brooke. The brother is a gay actor, and the daughter was a former professional dancer who they're both trying to find their way in life and so forth. And it's sort of a heartwarming, but also like deeply
Disturbing.
deeply
Molly
disturbing.
Shannon is the
Molly
mom.
Shannon is the mother who like gives an EGOT-winning performance on that. She's having a
It's the
resurgence,
best. It's-
right? Especially during White Lotus, like so she's everywhere now.
She's having a moment. Yeah.
So all I have to say is this is not a big commitment show. Like log on to HBO Max, watch a couple of episodes, you will binge the whole thing. It's 2 seasons are
delight.
out. It got
It's a
renewed for a
true-
third season. So
Yeah.
so please enjoy it with my recommendation. Okay, that's the end of this episode. We've been so grateful for all the positive feedback. We get lots of great reviews. We get some emails, which we really love. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please rate, review, subscribe. We love when you tell other people about it. That's the number one way that people learn about our podcast.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been a terrible, terrible week. But we've really enjoyed recording this for you. So thank you for
Always.
listening.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, this has been Nope.
The podcast where we shut it down.